You clicked because something in you smells a comeuppance coming. Good, sweethearts, because today the house always wins. And for once, darling, the house is you. Let me let you in on a little secret, treasure. The whole world runs on a game. Not a metaphor, a game. Chips, table, dealer, the works. And everybody is sitting at that felt, thinking they're bluffing, thinking they palmed a card, thinking nobody clocked the swap. But the dealer? Oh, the dealer never blinks. The dealer never forgets a hand. And you, my lovely little wild card, you thought you'd been dealt out. You hadn't. You were just sitting on a slow burn. You've heard it your whole life. You play, you pay. And somewhere in there you stopped buying it, didn't you? Because you watched the cheats rake the pot. Watched them stack their chips and stroll, smiling, always smiling, like you were just a throwaway hand they folded and never thought about again. And you sat there in the ashes of what they torched, learning how to breathe like it was a brand new trick. But here's the punchline before the setup. Gorgeous. The game didn't fold. No. It was never going to fold. It just deals on its own clock, not yours. And right now, for you, for your exact seat at this exact table, the last card is turning face up. The game has called, and it's over for them now. I don't care. No, really, I do not care. How untouchable they played it. Done. And you deserve to know why, and what that means for your beautiful, battered little life. Let me tell you something nobody bothers to whisper. What happened to you wasn't a bad shuffle. Wasn't rotten luck. Wasn't because you were soft or slow or asking for it. No, it happened because there's something in you. A shine, a spark, a specific little voltage that certain people spotted and simply could not stomach. You want to know what envy really looks like? Up close, pet. It doesn't kick the door in wearing a villain grin. Envy's a splinter. Tiny, buried, and it works its way in so slow you mistake the ache for your own. It sits at your table, learns your tells, memorizes where you keep the weak spots, the way a burglar counts your windows before he ever picks the lock. And the ones who came for you, one or a whole giggling gaggle. At work, in the family, in the so-called circle, they saw something you carried and wanted and couldn't cop. Not because it was sold out, because what you carry isn't liftable. You can smear a name. You can scheme, spin, gather your little goon squad in the corner, but you cannot pocket what was sewn into somebody else. Can't. Full stop. And that, precious, is what drove them absolutely feral. That's what made them obsess, overreach, say things they knew were lies, because they looked at you and felt it in their chest. Even if they'd rather die than admit it, you got dealt something they didn't, and it ate them alive. And here's where it gets deliciously specific, because I'm not yapping about faceless haters. I'm talking about the ones from your own corner, the ones who sat in your pain, watched you scrape the bottom and either quietly popped a little cork, or better yet, piled on. Think back a sec. The moments you were lowest. Maybe you'd lost the plot, lost the thread, lost it all at once, and instead of a hand up, you got silence, side-eye, or somebody who took what you told them in confidence and reloaded it as ammo. You know exactly what I mean. You felt it. Felt the room go cold when you walked in. Felt the chatter clip shut when you got close. And you started doubting your own eyes. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm just paranoid. And that, darling, that was the whole con. Because the second you doubt your own eyes, you drop your guard, you go quiet, you shrink. And they get to keep dealing from the bottom, in the dark. You want the truth? It's not in what we were just saying. Most people rot. Anomalies evolve. Which are you? Find your answers in my book. Grab it from the description or pinned comment of this video. Anyway, back to the madness. But you weren't paranoid. You were right, and somewhere in your bones, you knew it the whole time. That tight little knot in your gut that never fully loosened, that wasn't anxiety cupcake. That was clarity. That was your own inside voice, tugging your sleeve, trying to keep you breathing. And even when you couldn't trust it, even when you talked yourself down because the truth was too ugly to hold, it stayed. You were right. Now let's chat about what it actually costs to keep your cards clean while everybody around you is marking theirs. Nobody talks about the bill. People sell resilience like it's a glow-up. Decide to be strong, boom, strong. But real, dragged-out betrayal. Your name getting dragged, getting frozen out while you're trying to rebuild. That's not a glow-up. That's snapping awake at 1 a.m. with your heart absolutely sending it for no reason. That's grinding through days, performing, I'm fine, because you don't have the gas to explain the wreck inside. That's the very special loneliness of knowing something foul is being done to you, and having zero receipts anyone will believe. You tried to set the record straight. Tried to show them the truth, and at some point, admit it. You clocked that you were playing a rigged table because the people coming for you never wanted the truth. They wanted the story, and a good story runs laps around the truth. A good story hits harder, lands juicier. So you watched your name get chopped up, hand, by folks grinning in your face or folks who never gave you one honest shot. And what did you do? I'll tell you what you did, champ. You kept playing, not pretty, not without cracking behind closed doors, but you got back in the chair every single time, not because it was easy, it wasn't. Not because you weren't scared, you were, but because something in you flat out refused to let them be right about you. Something in you knew, fold now, let the weight of everything they said sink you, and they win. And on some deep, wordless level, you would not let that happen. Not out of ego, out of the truth of who you are, even in the moments you nearly forgot. Sit with this. Because this is the part that flips the whole board. That refusal, that bone-deep, quiet no. That's not just your personality. That's not stubbornness. That's armor. Something was in your corner the whole hand, walking you through it. Not in a way that made it easy, in the way that counts. You came through. You're here, right now, still breathing. Still thinking, still fool enough to hope. And hope, no matter how far off. You survived. You survived something built from the ground up to break you. Maybe a whole crew of them, coordinated or just feeding off each other's stink the way certain people do when they smell a shared target. And none of it took you out. Doesn't that tell you something? Doesn't that whisper what you're cut from? Any normal person, and I mean this, would have crumbled under that kind of pressure. The freeze-out, the fairy tale, the knife from someone you trusted. Most people don't come back from that. You are coming back from that. You're already mid-comeback. The turn is happening. Let me paint you something because you need to see it. Pumpkin. Forget the wheel. Picture a great big machine. Old, iron, gears the size of a house. And it's been grinding since before the first liar ever told the first lie, and not one human word has ever jammed it. Every move feeds those gears. Every calculated cruelty, every polished lie, Every time somebody hurt you because it was convenient, because it handed them a little power, because they figured you couldn't swing back. All of it drops in, and the machine doesn't forget, doesn't get distracted, doesn't care how charming the crook is, how slick the story sounds, how many marks they've convinced. It doesn't measure like people do. It measures intent. It measures impact. It measures the gap between what somebody swore they were and what they actually did when they thought nobody important was watching. And right now, the gears are finishing a full grind. What you fed in on your side is grinding back to you. What they fed in is grinding back to them. That's not revenge, sugar. No, you're not wishing rot on anyone. You're not built like that. That's just the machinery. You couldn't stop it if you tried. It's already turning. The game has called. Let me get specific, because I don't want this floating in the clouds. The things they stripped from you. Your peace, your name, your nerve, your sense of safe around people, your ability to trust. Those are being handed back. Not all at once, probably not in one cinematic boom. Though hey, sometimes it lands like that. But you've already been catching it, haven't you? Doors that were bolted starting to creak open. People who were never on your side starting to show their real faces. To everyone, not just you. Your own clarity coming back online. The red on a room. The gut that says off. Without you spiraling for weeks. That's restoration. That's live. For you. And for them. For the ones who ran the con, joined it, or just watched and let it happen when a single word could have stopped it. The gears are grinding in their world too. You don't have to track it, but catch a glimpse, and I'm warning you, love. It's rough to watch, even for you, because you're not them. You don't throw confetti at somebody's suffering, even the ones who caused yours. That's the difference. That's always been the difference. Here's something that took me way too long to get, and you need it now. The fact that you've still got a good heart after all that. That's not the weak spot. That's the whole prize. Because the hit on you wasn't just about pain. It was a heist, aimed at your realness, your openness, that specific shine, trying to swap it for its evil twin, trying to squeeze you so hard you'd clamp shut and shrink into a knockoff of yourself. And you didn't. You're wounded, still healing in spots you haven't even mapped, but you're not shut. You're not cold. You kept alive the one thing every single blow was aiming to kill. And that is why what's next matters so much. You can't catch what's flying to you with a white-knuckle fist. You can't step into the life quietly built for you backstage while you were surviving if you're still crouched in the bunker. And you're uncurling. I can feel it just saying this. Something in you starting to believe again that good things are real, that you deserve them, that the story isn't over. That plot twist. The best stretch is just beginning. Just beginning. Now the group that ganged up. Because this genuinely scrambles people. The idea that a bunch of them would coordinate on purpose or not against one person. It feels unhinged when it's your face on the dartboard. Feels like you're inventing it, casting yourself as the star of a movie that isn't rolling. But hear me, when someone's got what you've got, moving somewhere others can feel but can't reach, the itch to trip them can go full compulsion. Doesn't even make sense to the ones doing it. They just need to undercut, to discredit, to make sure whatever you're building never gets built. And they find each other through shared resentment. One grievance, real or cooked up, becomes the flagpole, and a whole flock rallies to it because they needed a permission slip for what they were already feeling. And that pile-on is genuinely swamping. It's designed to make you feel alone, outgunned, like truth's irrelevant because it's 40 of them and one of you. Here's what that arithmetic fumbles. It forgets the weight on the other side. Every single one of them is now on the hook for their exact role. The active players and the ones who just watched, gossiped and judged from the cheap seats. Every person who tossed even one coin into what you went through is now stuck in a loop they can't climb out of. They set it spinning, and the payback isn't split up nice and even the way the effort was. Each one gets it back in full. Not how you'd have drawn it up, probably. But that's the house rule, always. You weren't denied, precious. You were delayed. Really let that one land, because there's a canyon between delayed and denied. And the people who came for you mixed those up completely. They thought because they slowed you, spun chaos through your life, cost you time and people and shots and peace. They thought that meant they'd stopped something. They didn't. They hit pause. There's a version of your life that was always yours, always the direction you were headed, and no amount of human meddling can permanently reroute that. The road got harder, longer, detours that cost you real things, time you don't get back, connections gone sour, a version of your nerve you had to rebuild brick by brick. Those losses are real. I'm not going to sand them into a cute little lesson. You lost things, real things. You were allowed to grieve them. But the destination, the actual life, stitched together for you in ways you're only starting to clock, that was never cancelled, never even really at risk, just parked on the far side of what you had to cross. And you're almost there. Not as a pretty line, as a flat, literal fact. The things you've been praying for, quietly rooting for even when hope felt like a chump's move. They're closer right now than they've ever been. And the ones who worked overtime to make sure you never arrived, they're about to get front row seats to you strolling into the exact thing they tried to slam shut. So here's my ask, and it's not gratitude, and it's not forgiveness on a clock you're not ready for, and it is not the little "I'm okay" performance. Here's what I need, Ace. Quit shrinking to brace for an ambush that isn't coming. Quit scanning the tree line for the next disaster. Quit holding your breath. The season of the pylon is closing. The game has called. And you're walking into something now. Something real. Something with your name burned into it. Something nobody can lift, redirect, or rot. Start taking up room again. Start wanting things out loud. Even if it's just to yourself. Start picturing the future as something that's actually yours, instead of something you're praying won't gut you. Because the frequency you walk with right now is tuning the signal for everything about to land. Remember that. You've earned the right to hold your chin up. You've earned the right to believe in what's coming, not because it's all perfect, not because you're done healing, but because you outlasted the thing built to end you. And that rewrites everything about who you are and what's on the table. One last thing. And this one matters. When it comes, when the goods starts arriving, the doors swing, people show up different. Life starts mirroring back what you actually poured in, instead of what was done to you. Be quiet about it. Not because you should hide, not because you don't deserve a victory lap, but because there are still eyes on you. There will always be someone who, the second they clock you winning, goes hunting for a fresh angle. Let them find out through the receipts. Let your life do the talking. Let the evidence stack up quiet and heavy until it's flat, undeniable. You don't owe a soul an announcement. You don't owe anyone the blueprint of how you clawed through. The real ones in your corner, even if it was just one or two, they already know. They already know. And the ones who weren't, let them piece it together from a distance. That's already more mercy than they earned. The mercy your nature's going to slip them anyway. You made it. You made it. You're right here, right now, on the turn. The game is calling, the last card's flipping. Justice, not the flashy, public kind necessarily, but the deep, quiet, structural kind that actually rewrites lives, is grinding your way right now. You're not waiting on it anymore. You're walking into it, so keep moving. Keep your heart cracked open. Keep your chin up. And know that everything done to you, everything taken, everything whispered about you, all of it got seen, all of it got tallied in the only book that counts. And that book is being squared right now, today, in your favor. You were never alone in this, never. And it's over for them. It's completely, finally over for them. Your time is now. And grab your book from the description.